Welcome to Supply Chain Now, the voice of global supply chain. Supply Chain Now focuses on the best in the business for our worldwide audience, the people, the technologies, the best practices, and today's critical issues, the challenges and opportunities. Stay tuned to hear from those making global business happen right here on Supply Chain Now.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Scott Luton and Kevin L. Jackson with you here on Supply Chain Now. Welcome to today's show. Kevin, how you doing?
Yes, sir. I am really happy today, but for some reason, I just got this urge that I need a vacation. I need a tropical vacation, maybe an island somewhere. I don't know if you have any suggestions or recommendations, but it sort of hit me today.
I like the vibe, and you know we do. We've got a wonderful show that's not only going to inspire folks to visit to these beautiful places that you're talking about, but we're going to inspire folks with a wonderful and inspiring story of an entrepreneur and business leader who's building an incredible brand and company. And I'll tell you, Kevin, she's changing the world. You know, I know
Yes.
we give Enrique Alvarez, our dear friend, a hard time when we talk about that because that's his mission. He's changing the world. Cora, our guest, is changing the world. And Kevin, I can't wait to jump into this story here today, huh?
Oh, this is going to be it's going to be fun, enjoyable, and inspiring. It's
That's right.
inspired me for quite a few years.
You're not kidding. All right. So, folks, today's episode is presented in partnership once again with our friends at Microsoft, who's doing some pretty cool things in the industry as well, helping us all move forward together. So, more on that later. So, Kevin, I have the distinguished honor to introduce our guest here today. I can't wait. Based in Honolulu, Hawaii, our guest has been described as a designer, dreamer, and survivor. Now, our guest has racked up the awards left and right, including being recognized, just a few here because the list is long, Emerging Designer of the Year recipient, a Women Who Mean Business honoree,
Mm.
and a Wells Fargo Rising Star Award. How about that? Her
Oh,
apparel, all designed, sourced, and manufactured in Hawaii. Well, they've been worn by the stars, the rock and roll stars, Hollywood stars, you name it, television shows, and she's been featured in the pages of Vogue UK, Elle Magazine, Essence, Inc. Magazine, and many other popular publications. But beyond the design, our guest is building a company with purpose. She's been invited to be part of critical industry leadership conversations by the likes of, you may have heard of these groups, Kevin, the United Nations and the
yes.
National Retail Federation. So please join me in welcoming the CEO and founder of Coradorables and Cora Spearman Hawaii, all part of the Coradorables Sustainable Corporation, Cora Spearman-Chang. Cora, aloha and welcome.
Aloha. How are you, Scott and Kevin?
Hey,
Wonderful.
I'm doing great. I mean, but Scott neglected. He's going to talk about it, but you are also a great mother and wife and leader. All this. I mean, how do you do all of these things?
By the grace of God, this is all, I give God all the glory. He's my CEO. Truly the
Oh yeah.
CEO.
Well, that certainly helps make for successful decision making there, Cora and Kevin, and that's big part of the equation. Well,
Mm.
Cora, welcome, welcome, welcome. We got so much to get into here today, and we want to start, Kevin, with getting to know Cora a little bit better. Kevin opened it up perfect because he's thinking of these beautiful places that you get to call home. So I want to talk about Hawaii for a moment. What's one or two and I'm sure the list is long, but what are one or two of your favorite aspects of living and working in Hawaii?
Well, one or two, God, there's so many. But
Yeah.
Hawaii is steeped, of course, in culture, and all different cultures from all over the world that call it home. And so the word for family is ohana. And your ohana can look like it can be chosen, family and not just your blood family. And so that whole philosophy and theory of what truly creates community is what runs deep through the veins of the whole ethos of Hawaii. So that's first and foremost one of my favorite things, besides the environment of having the mountains, and as we call it, the Aina or Malka Tamakai, the ocean and the sea, as well as the mountains. So we have so many of you get to see the God's glory, just all of the different things and all in the nature and creation. It lets you know how small we are in the scheme of things. When you look up at the big mountains, when you look into the vast ocean, and how we play a small part, but our small part still has a big impact, and the whole thing too of Imua. And Imua in Hawaiian means when you are gathered with a common purpose and you
Mm.
come together in perseverance and in purpose as well as dignity, and you push forward. So we always use that fight chant of Imua in
Mm.
Hawaiian. And
So
the word aloha.
please tell it. And for the handful of folks out there that may not know, or a lot of folks may not know, tell us about aloha.
Aloha is not just hello and goodbye. It is the breath of God. It is the breath of the divine be with you. So you're telling someone, peace be with you. And to carry that breath, to carry that life with you. So you're giving them that blessing. So when we say aloha, we're giving someone a blessing.
Mm.
And so it's not just hello and goodbye, but it's truly a blessing.
Well
So
said.
aloha.
Yeah.
Aloha, Cora. And that, man, what a wonderful and beautiful, serene way of opening our conversation here today. Kevin, I'm going to steal one of these words because I feels like me and you have been on Amua for a couple years now, Kevin, huh?
The thing about the Hawaiian culture is that it it's caring, it's embracing, and the people are caring and embracing, and the language sort of reflects that culture. People know Hawaii as a wonderful vacation place, but to be so lucky to live in this environment of family of Ohana, it's I really, uh, I'm jealous in a lot of ways, Cora.
Don't be jealous. Come join me.
Oh, there
I
you go.
will. I
I
will.
love
I was
that.
just saying. I think I need to go to an island somewhere.
Come join me. Come join me.
Let's make that happen. Okay. So moving right along, we understood doing our homework that you're a fellow big fellow food fan. So we got like a lot of kindred spirits there. So if you had to pick one dish, Core, and we also understand you're quite the chef. So if you had to pick one dish as one of your go-tos to prepare for Ohana, what would that be?
Oh my goodness, something that you all would have to try. It's cooking, and because the holidays are coming up,
Oh yeah.
Thanksgiving. Cooking one is my grandma's oyster dressing, which is
Ooh.
always a standout. But the other thing is cooking the turkey in the Hawaiian emu. Emu turkey is like no other turkey you've ever had in your life. You want to talk about fall off the bone, moist, just tender, and it's all only butter, Hawaiian
Mm,
salt, some garlic. And so it's funny when I was doing the traditional emu with some elders in the community, and they invite you over because they do the whole thing with the banana leaves, and they actually dig the underground, oven, and create
yeah.
this whole thing. And it's a very cultural, beautiful thing. And it's a big honor to be invited. Not everyone can just cook in the emu here in Hawaii, right? And
Mm.
so when I went, I call myself the Black Martha Stewart. I was like, oh, over here in the garden, you guys got some rosemary. You got some of this, some of that. I was throwing rosemary, sage, throwing apples and oranges in there. They're like, hold on now. This is not how we're doing emu. And I was like, quiet. And so I was like, "Oh, they're never going to invite me back here again." But thank God they did because it was amazing. And they're like, "Oh, Cora knows how to add the extra herbs and spices." So it's like I'm the new KFC of Hawaii.
Wow. You have
I'm
that touch.
no kidding. I am
Oranges and you
starving now.
pineapples go in there too.
Yeah, you got to try emu if you have the opportunity to have emu turkey. I know a lot of people when they go to the luau's, you
Yeah.
get to have the pulled pork, right? And that's cooked generally in the emu, right?
Yeah, I
But
had
when
one
you've
of
had
those when I was there. That was delicious.
Ooh,
I mean, yeah.
imagine it being turkey. Next
Mm,
level. We call
wow.
it cognac attack. That's when you go to
Well,
sleep.
Cora, I couldn't get past the oyster dressing, which I love dressing. Oyster dressing sounds even better. So, We're gonna have to exchange
I'll
recipes.
give you grandma's recipe for sure.
Yes,
I'll
Oh,
show you.
please.
wow.
All right. So, kind of kidding aside, and I appreciate the opportunity again to talk with you about a wide range of topics here today. Kevin and I both do. Um, you're also a brave cancer survivor. And I tell you, as I've learned, and as Kevin and I and the whole team have learned more about your story, there's so many different things to celebrate about your journey, what you've been able to overcome and build for so many. So, if there's one piece of advice that
Mm.
you'd love to offer some of our listeners that may be out there fighting and battling their own things that come in life, those biggest and greatest of challenges, what would that one piece of advice be, Cora?
Well, for me personally, it's always getting centered with prayer and my faith. But everyone is different in a certain way, right?
Hmm.
So, and not everyone has that same, ethos or philosophy. So, what everyone could probably relate to is, again, that whole spirit of imua and that pushing forward. And in order to do that, I think you have to have something to look forward to. So, whatever you're going through, focus on the future. Whatever you're doing, whatever your business you're starting, if you're going through tough times, if you're going through great times, still focus on the future. And when you're looking towards the future of something, it causes your whole paradigm to shift to looking at something outside of yourself, but you're also projecting that the future will happen. You're manifesting something positive happening in the future instead of dwelling on the here and now. You're thinking forward. So I would say focus on that. And when you're focused on the future, you're seeing yourself, you're projecting already seeing yourself in another time span that is ahead of just the now, meaning that these tough times right now don't stay forever. And so for me, the cancer I knew was just my right now, and it was going to be a part of my testimony and my journey because I believed that God and I was going to get through it, and it was
Yeah.
going to get through it with faith, not only in myself but in something greater than me. And just knowing that something greater than you is out there and focusing on your future will help push you forward.
Cora, it's a beautiful message, and I can really envision on those darkest of days, controlling our mindset and controlling what we can control is so important. So thank you for sharing that, Kevin. You respond to
Yeah.
that if you would, and then take us to where we're going next.
Well, to be honest, I really like the positioning yourself to look towards the future, because you can always get, drowned it out by the trials and tribulations of today. And you really need to believe that there is a better future. But that really sort of leads me to a personal question I had with respect to you and business. I mean, everything in life has a why. I mean, we've been talking a bit about what you do, but I mean, could you share why you do it? Why the business? I mean, there's so many things, uh, I mean, in your life that I've learned about, and but why this? Why
Hmm.
Coradorables?
Yeah. Well, why? My why was I always, even as a little kid,
Uh-huh.
I always wanted to be a mom and I always wanted to be a fashion designer. So when I played with my Barbies, my Barbie was a
Mm.
mom and she ran a business and she wore amazing outfits that I would design. But I wasn't necessarily encouraged by my parents to become a fashion designer or entrepreneur, even
Okay.
though my dad was a designer and an entrepreneur. And my mom, they were like, don't do it. No. They
They were
were like,
trying to warn you, huh?
they're
Don't
like,
do
yeah,
that.
they warned me. It was like, you need to be a doctor or a lawyer. And I was like, and so I found my way. And I think that the universe always has a way of conspiring to work with you for you to
Mm.
ultimately live your destiny and your dream. And we may push against it and try to go other directions, but ultimately, we're guided back home. And for me, it was my why was when I was faced with cancer, it was like, all right, this was my literally my come to Jesus moment. And it was like, all right,
Uh-huh.
when given a second chance at life, what was it that you were always scared to do that you always wanted to do?
Ah,
And
okay.
so I always wanted to be a designer and I always wanted to be a mom. And when faced with potentially not becoming a mom, because of the cancer, it was like, well, that's when you really had to rely on faith, right? And so in the hospital, it was a nice distraction. Like I said, I focused on something other than my immediate situation.
Hmm.
And that in the hospital, I was writing a business plan. Like literally, I had tubes in my nose and they wired my mouth shut in order for me to get the radiation to my brain and my head to
Wow.
stay in the same place. They had to make sure your mouth was wired shut. So I learned to be like and talk through my teeth just like this. I learned to be like a
Yeah.
ventriloquist, just to talk through, my teeth or
Talk
whatever.
through your wires, huh?
Just talk through the wire, right? Like Kanye West, except not as crazy. But what I ended up doing was just like figuring out a way. So my original plan that I pitched to these doctors, because these are the best doctors in the world, right? So I'm like, I'm going to pitch these guys. Maybe they'll invest. And so I entertained them. Every day they were always so amused. The residents at the time to come to my room because they're like, "What is Cora going to say today? What is she going to pitch us today?" So I pitched a smooth food company because I was like, I'm so tired of drinking Ensure. I can't take any more butter pecan, no more vanilla, no more strawberry. No, thank you. I was like, no. I said, I want to come up with a smooth foods company that has, the flavors of all of
Yeah.
the world, Indian food, Thai food, soul food, barbecue through like Ensure, like smooth flavors,
Right.
right?
To
Without
get
it
some
being
soul
cookie
food through them
gross.
wires.
Right, right, going through the tubes, right? I was like, hit me in the vein, hit it up with the IV of like barbecue sauce, sweet baby rays, right through the vein.
Love it.
And so, but what ended up happening was I had to think about, I at the time owned retail stores here in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And in owning the retail stores, people were always coming in asking for matching family aloha wear. And they couldn't find it. They didn't want swap meet material. They wanted something higher end quality. And the doctors and nurses loved coming to Hawaii on their vacations. But these were
Hmm.
people that didn't have a lot of time. And that's one thing that a lot of busy people are always short on, or all people in general. We don't have an abundance of time, and so you could save people time by creating something that was their go-to, that could be they could wear this shirt, to the office, but they can also
Wow.
wear it to a wedding, but they could also wear it, on vacation. It could also double as their Christmas card. So I was like, these doctors are my target market. So when I started focusing then on the business plan of creating Coradorables, which was the aloha wear for the whole family, and that was going to be their go-to and save these doctors time for when they go on vacation. They just throw this, easy to pack,
Sure.
easy to have it, and then boom, that's their Christmas card. It was a win-win. And so they became my test market, but they also
Hmm.
became my clients that I have to this day. So my why started off with me playing with Barbies and wanting to be a designer and wanting to be a mom.
What a great story. I mean,
Yes.
before Coradorables, the only fashion that came out of Honolulu was Hawaiian shirts. But after Cora, it's like an entire line of aloha wear. I mean, this is amazing. So you have clothing for the entire family. But what have been the most popular items? What has resonated most in the market with your doctors, I guess?
Well, you just said it with the doctors. My number one, and honestly, my number one seller is my men's aloha shirt. My men's shirt
Ah.
is the gang banger. He's like boom, boom, boom. It's like he's the star of the show. It's funny. We were featured on Magnum PI, on
Yeah.
Lost, on the different shows, but also our aloha shirt. It we became the kin shirt as chosen by Bloomingdale's,
Oh, okay.
for the Barbie the movie that launched this year. And so that
Wow.
really helped to ignite a lot of sales and a lot of attention, because when I looked and I said, I knew that they were going to do this partnership with the movie, and I said,
Hmm.
well, Ken's job is beach. And
Right.
I was
Yeah.
like, well, hello, what better shirt to be Ken's shirt than the Cora Spearman Hawaii Aloha shirt? And Bloomingdale's was like, okay, we'll buy it. And
Wow.
so they did, literally.
Wow. I mean, look at that. You start with Barbies, clothing your Barbies,
As a little
and
kid,
now you created the Ken shirt. Wow.
Right.
full
Kevin,
circle. Like I said, God makes no mistakes, right? You come full circle.
Come
that
full circle.
really, and I got to go back before we move forward in the conversation. I want to go back to your answer to Kevin's first question because Kevin and Cora, undoubtedly, we've got entrepreneurs out there listening to us right now. Some of them are
Mm.
still working on their plans. Some of them have already started and they're fighting through the trenches, all the things that come with it. But Cora, to hear how you were putting together your first business plan and what you were overcoming personally while you were doing that. So, folks, if you're out there listening and you're struggling with your business plan, hey, that's a good. Be grateful for what you have, and you're not having to tackle some of those personal
Yeah.
challenges that Cora overcame bravely and ably. And look at what they're doing now. All right, so Cora and Kevin, y'all know we got to talk a little supply chain around here, right? So,
No. Just because the name of the show is supply chain doesn't
right. Oh gosh, we'll blame it on Congress or something. I don't know, but hey,
Yes.
your products are really cool to have them made and designed in Hawaii. And there you're, of course, working with several local factories. So let's talk about a couple supply chain topics. Logistics first.
Right.
So talk to us about the challenges of sending your products to raving fans across the globe, Core. What have you overcome there?
Well, I think the hardest thing is getting things made in America these days.
Hmm.
Because the cost of manufacturing in America is high. For us, everything from our fabrics, our buttons, everything is sourced right here in Hawaii. So our buttons are coconut husks that say Hawaii. So every small detail, and that was very important to me. I also wanted to give back to my immediate community, and I
Hmm.
thought it would be very simple, like, oh, we all work together, it'll be easy. And then it was like, no, it's not that easy. It was like, it was really, really hard. It's still hard and expensive, but it's worth it. And it's part of my ethos. It's our value. It's our mission statement. Um, in having things made here in America. And so with our supply chain, the hardest thing was, well, I don't want to reinvent the wheel. There
Hmm.
was already older Japanese families and Chinese families here that have been in the garment creating industry for over 4 and 5 decades, 40, 50 years, these companies. So I said, well, why would I go and try and source something in Asia when these companies are already here making
Hmm.
these fabrics and textiles? Let me see if they'll partner with me. And they did. And I let them know, hey, if we can work together, because they already have the supply chain in regards to getting bolts of fabric on boats
Right.
Yeah.
here. Right. And so then also me going through export, we had an export university sponsored by the SBA here, and the Export Council in Hawaii. And so I said, well, when in doing the export university, I knew that people were all here at the foreign trade zone. So, in being in the foreign trade zone and finding out different ways that you can save money in having a potential export and getting your product here and getting it here, and lowering your cost, sourcing was kind of like my thing. So being
Wow.
able to find each one of the different things to put it together, it just all of a sudden it all divinely came into
Yes.
play. So it was working with other families that had been doing it that were suffering. These
Yes.
businesses, were had been around for 4 and 5, like I said, generations, but they weren't necessarily getting that deal anymore where people were buying a whole lot of their fabrics.
Hmm.
So I
Oh,
became that
darn.
person who started giving back to them and pouring into them. But then it was like, oh, this is a whole thing because they pay taxes here. They
Yeah.
already had their supply chain down. I'm not breaking, reinventing the wheel,
Right.
but I'm partnering with people who are already had created something and had created it for decades, so
Yes.
I knew that it was a sound product. And then it made it that much easier and then bringing it together. So yeah, it was going to be a lot more expensive. So that meant that my shirt couldn't be sold at Walmart,
Right.
even though I tried.
Right.
It's like, and Kevin knows that, I had
Yes, we
17
definitely
Walmart
did that.
stores, initially, but it was like, the woman who was the vice president here of Saks Fifth Avenue, where we had a pop up store, she said, "Well, if you would have did Walmart, you would have never been in Saks." And I said, "Oh." that's a heck of a statement.
Right.
And but it was like, but it's funny now. Our Saks Fifth Avenue has now turned into a Target, so that
Wow.
tells you about the economy in the market here in Hawaii. But
So
it's all things come into play. Sorry
yeah.
about that.
So
The thing
before
about it's all about partnerships. That's what you're highlighting, right?
Mhm. Strategic
agreed.
partnerships. I believe your network is your net worth.
Yeah.
And so
Yes.
it's about who, not just who and their power or influence, but it's about looking into your community about who's already doing something and doing it well, and what
Right.
can you learn from them. You
So
know, you know.
so let me ask. So Cora, I want to so you really leaned into the local established ecosystem there. And rather than reinventing wheels, you put it that co-opetition, which is really a healthy thing, right? You
Hmm.
found those partnerships and found ways of inbound, importing, exporting, and solving your businesses and growing businesses needs. Um, but the other thing I want to ask you about is even though as an any startup out there, for that matter, any business out there, costs can be a big constraint, right? But
Right.
you were committed to not compromising on sourcing and sticking to ethical sourcing. That's a really big priority for you. So tell us about that.
Well, I had to do, the funny thing was ethical sourcing. Because I had cancer, I filed for medical bankruptcy. So I
Wow.
was starting a business with no credit, no money, and no banks would loan to me. So it was trying to figure all of this out with literally nothing but a dream, an idea, and passion. Right. So it was finding in dealing with local communities and dealing with people here, it was them knowing my story, them knowing my background, and us working together and saying, hey, I will work my butt off to get this account in order to
Hmm.
get this, but can you give me net 30, net 60 terms? So it's that kind of negotiation and having those hard conversations and actually humbling myself and saying, "Hey, I don't have the money, I don't have the means, but I will find it. I am good for it, and we will make this work." And then having those people then literally invest with the product in a way, so that I was able to source my materials, but also take care of some of my overhead and a lot of my cost,
Yeah.
right? But then also pay attention to my margins and knowing, okay, I need to make this amount of money, and have it set at this price so that now I can go back and pay people what they deserve to be paid, and they know that I'm good for it,
Yes, and um, work with suppliers that do the same thing with their teams, and
Right.
no one's being
Reciprocate.
taken advantage of. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
That is such a powerful approach. Kevin, your quick comments there.
Well, I mean, you started off with talking about Ohana, and this is really another extension of Ohana. If you're doing business, your ecosystem, your business ecosystem is your business family. And you
Right.
have to work with them as they need to work with you. And that's why
Right.
it's critical to be open and honest when you're doing business. It's you know, that's the only way that everyone can move forward together. Business isn't
Yes.
a zero sum game. You create value, you create wealth for
Yes.
everyone. And wealth isn't just money. It's all about your lifestyle, your environment, what you can do with your life and how you can enrich the lives of others. So,
Right.
that's one thing I see in your story, Cora.
Oh, thank you.
Kevin, well said. Well said. And I wholeheartedly agree with you. Cora, I really, despite all those personal challenges and business challenges that you've already laid out, not compromising to take advantage of others just so you could grow your business. That is such a,
Yeah.
a wonderful leadership quality of yours. All right, shifting gears a little bit. Sustainability, as we all know, right? Consumers, investors, business leaders, we all want more and more, and not just want it. We want to do something about the environment and climate change, and we're looking for sustainability a number of different ways. When it comes to your businesses, I should say, what are some of your priorities when it comes to sustainability?
My priorities is based on, I guess, the four pillars kind of as outlined by the United Nations Global Compact.
Mm,
So, corporate responsibility starts with a company's value system and principle based approach to doing business, right? So,
hmm
this means operating in ways that, at a minimum, meet fundamental responsibility in areas of, for me, human rights, labor, the environment, and anti corruption, right? So, those are the four pillars as overall. But then we also have it based on the 17 SDGs as outlined. SDGs is the Sustainable
Yeah.
Development Goals of the United Nations. So it was kind of using that as our North Star, and always focusing on, does this fall into a line with all of these, missions, specifically the four pillars and then the 17 SDGs. And if anything was like, nope, then we had to pivot and turn around and go right back to that.
And you get a lot of
Wow.
nopes in this journey, don't we? We all get a lot of nopes, don't we,
You hear
Cora?
more no's than yeses, but rejection is just redirection.
Well, but I like how you put it because we get lots of no's and then we get a lot of nope, nope.
Nope,
You know what I mean?
nope.
Uh,
But
Kevin,
one thing though, it sustainability or that focus and commitment, sustainability is really what allowed you to not only be unique, but to grow and create a position in the marketplace that's unassailable, right?
Well, the
Nobody
funny
can
thing,
create what you've built.
oh, I think the funny thing is that sustainability for me was just who we were. It wasn't a
Uh-huh.
buzzword. It wasn't, greenwashing. It wasn't like, oh, we need to jump on this bandwagon. It was sustainability was necessity for me because I didn't have the resources that a lot of other businesses had.
Right,
So I
right.
had to depend on my community. I had to make sure that everybody was then paid a fair wage. I had to make sure of all of these different things because I was working with local organizations and people that I was accountable to because I see them at the grocery store, I see them at church, I see them,
hmm
see them everywhere. And so this is my community. So I had to also be, honorable in my interaction with my community. So
Yeah, and
that I think is
what's
Mhm.
important about that is sustainability is your differentiator in the market.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know, as I'm learning also your commitment to doing the right thing. And I don't mean to be too simplistic with that, but as we're learning more and more about your story and your priorities and how you do business, I'm seeing this common theme emerge. And that doing the right thing on so many different levels is so important, and it's what this industry needs so much. This world needs so
Yeah.
much more of. So that really, as we promise y'all out there listening, we promise you an inspiring story. And Kevin, Cora is delivering here today. Let me ask you
Yes.
about this, Kevin. We're
mm,
going to celebrate something with Cora and her team because I think this is pretty new news, if I'm not mistaken. It's a high honor to receive the B Corp certification, and your company, your enterprise just received that. So tell us what that is first, and why that's important, Cora.
Oh, well, thank you first and foremost. Thank you so much for that. We're very, very grateful. B Corps are mission driven companies that balance purpose and profit. So
Hmm.
you have to have the two, And B Corps are for profit companies that meet high standards of social and environmental performance,
hmm
transparency, as we talked about before, and accountability.
Yeah.
B Corps use the power of business to do more than just, like I said, seek profit. We use our profits and growth to positively impact our stakeholders, our immediate communities, the world community, and, the planet. So certified B Corps use business ultimately as a force for good. That's
Hmm.
our superpower.
Yes.
And so that to be a part of that and for to go through their rigorous standards and tests, like, this wasn't something that happened overnight. It literally took me about 18 months to become
Wow.
B Corp certified.
Yeah, that's
But
So
hard
and that
work.
was
That's
considered
hard work.
quick for some people, because other people seeking B Corp certification, them doing their impact assessment, going
Yeah.
through the whole processes, it's taking some people 3 to 4 years. But
18
Very
companies
months.
like
impressive.
Patagonia, Bigelow Teas,
Hmm.
you have Ben and Jerry's, you have all of these what do you call Athleta. You know, they're all
Yeah.
B Corps. So now we're in this like the cool kids club that, like I said, using business as a force for good. So now I'm trying to become like the Nicki Minaj or Cardi B of B Corps, where
All
I
Okay.
jump
right.
where I jump on the track of a brand bigger than me to like spit my verses, and I'm like, hey,
Oh
and I
no,
lay
I
down my
don't think
Hawaiian tracks,
Well,
and see if they'll
Cora
have.
and Cardi B a duet.
I don't know how sustainable. Well, maybe she's about sustainability. I would hope so.
but kidding aside, and I love that, by the way, Cor, but kidding aside, B Corp status really seems to fit how you do business and your
Yeah.
values and your MO. Kevin, that's I'm gonna have to look into this B Corp status, and who knows? I mean, where purpose and profit meet. I mean, everyone can win there, huh, Kevin?
Oh no, yeah, absolutely. That's like you're getting a rare air of business, right? You look up to these companies that can be successful and save the planet. And
Right.
this is especially important in today's world as we're looking at climate change. And I mean, Hawaii, I mean,
Yeah,
in Maui just recently because of
right.
the
Fires.
high winds from
Hmm.
a hurricane that was enhanced by global warming. So this really hits home in so
Literally.
many ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. Really quick blurb. I want to ask you about Microsoft Office 365 and Outlook. You know, the world. I am a big. I'll tell you, I don't know what I would do. Frankly, and Kevin knows me well. Without Outlook and Outlook calendars and tasks and all that stuff, I'm not
You
sure how to
control
get
my
anything done.
world.
Right.
Right. Right. Well, I'm an
um,
old Hotmail girl, so
hey,
I still have my Hotmail account.
okay, so we have that in common. That was my first email address as well. What? So I know there's a lot of different components to your business, but when it comes to Office 365 and Outlook, is it critical to how y'all run and operate?
Absolutely, it's critical because we're a mom and pop business, with me and my husband, and so to have our phones sync up and have all of that, handy, and for our
Mhm.
schedules to sync up, whether it be managing the kids, to managing the home, and of course, all runs into the other. It helps us in regards to organization. It helps us in regards to our teams and being able to communicate with other people. It's just really streamlined it in such a impactful way that I wouldn't know where we would be honestly without it.
I'm with you. And
Yeah.
lest we forget, it helps you manage the production process for emu turkey and that oyster stuffing, right? Uh,
Yes.
so Kevin, help us being the technologist here, or at least one of my go-to technologists, weigh in on Microsoft Azure, which kind of powers all that stuff, right?
Well, I'm a cloud guy, right? And what many people don't realize is that these applications actually run on the Azure Microsoft Cloud, right? Um, for instance, just your identity is handled by Azure Active Directory. That manages who you are, who you want to connect to, and is secure to make sure you're talking to who you should send emails to or communicate with.
Wow.
It makes it possible for you to synchronize your passwords across all of these different apps. I don't know about you, but every day it seems like I need to download a new app.
Hmm.
So now you can set up a single sign-on in the cloud, and it gives you the ability to connect uh, to all your applications and all your data. In today's world, it's all about being connected and being able to do business no matter where you are.
That's right.
So hybrid work or work at home, it's critical.
Agreed.
And storage. I mean, I don't know about you, but I got tens of thousands of emails. It seems I don't never want to delete anything, but
Right. Right.
and,
Right. Right.
you
Right.
know, and then a year from now, and I'll be trying to do something, and I'll go into my email box and find it
Right.
some correspondence I had 2 years ago that's going to make me close the deal today. All of that mailbox storage uh, for Outlook is on the Azure infrastructure.
Okay.
But yeah, but more than that, I mean, you're in retail, okay, and this cloud, the Azure cloud, really accelerates business growth by providing this connectivity and solutions that integrate with your own existing systems. So in retail, especially intelligent stores and shopping and operations, supply chain, unified commerce. I'm sure, Cora, that you have to connect with your customers when they're in Saks Fifth Avenue or Bloomingdale's, or when they're on their smartphone and they need, your doctors need that Hawaiian shirt for the event tonight. You
Right.
want to be
Right.
able
Right.
to reach to them, right?
No. Yes.
So,
Absolutely. Not just.
say again.
I said, absolutely. You hit the nail on the head. And not just that, we just got selected by Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy to be one of their curators of style. So we now supply to them for their cruise lines, their luxury
Oh,
cruise line.
wow.
And so they now will have us going. We go at the end of this month. We start going on the cruise lines and the journeys as one of their
Mhm.
curators of style. Having that access, like you were saying, and when I'm in the middle of the ocean, but still being able to conduct business is a game changer. So you're absolutely correct with that.
Excellent
Right.
point.
And don't forget that seamless customer service through like
Mm.
automated customer service tools. Like, I mean, some people like them, some people hate them, but chatbots really help.
Yeah, they do.
Well,
Yeah, they do.
and customer experience, good old CX. That is what. Who's not talking about customer
Oh,
experience
yeah,
these days?
yeah.
That's what you're talking to. You and Cora both are.
So,
Kevin,
yeah,
go
yeah.
ahead. And I think you're reading my mind. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, but you just described yourself as a mom and pop business, and then you say, but I'm going to be providing, leisure wear or no, aloha wear to people on ships everywhere. So you are a family-run, family-focused, woman-owned, black owned and native Hawaiian owned business. And your story is just huge. Um, so there are people looking at this show right now and they're saying, I want to be Cora. Right?
Right.
So what piece of advice do you give them so that they can, you know, tackle their own dreams and become their own superstar.
I think the main thing is you don't want to, of course, you don't want to be Cora. You want to be authentically and truly you. I think
Yes.
authenticity is key. I think you have to find, like, I talked to little Cora, that little girl
Hmm.
who liked to play with Barbie dolls. And when I was forced with being like, well, if this is my last act on this earth, what do I want to be remembered? How do I want to be remembered? How do I, what are the last things that I want to do? And it was going, steadfast, chasing after that dream and goal of becoming that fashion designer, becoming that mom.
Yeah.
I think you have to find something that you would do for free, because initially in the big part of the starting your business, you're not going to get paid. You're not going to be
Right. Right.
making income. You're
Passion.
not going to be making a profit. So it's like, what would you do if you weren't getting paid for it, but you love it so much that you would do it for free?
Yeah.
And that you're actually giving someone something that they would pay you for you
Hmm.
know and so when you find that thing, whether it be making a piece of art or making a shirt or making a car or creating an app, when you find that one thing that you're truly passionate about, do that, because
Yes.
then it's not work, it's your passion.
Yes.
and then
Yes.
it's not a chore to do it. You're not doing something, oh, this is the hot thing. I'm going to sell this because it's going to make me money right now.
Hmm.
No, that's a temporary fix. The long-term fix is finding what your true calling is, what your God-given talents are. What you have been blessed and put on this earth to share with other people. That it's not necessarily that you're going to share it and get paid for it.
Yeah.
That's going to be the bonus. That's the extra. But that you are put here to do, to share with other people, and that eventually, is going to come back. That's your legacy. So find your
Mm.
passion and do that.
Absolutely. Great words. Great words.
Agreed. And I love where you started. It's interesting, as wonderful as social media is and all the different things and from the memories it reminds me of where we were 10 years ago or 2 years ago or 2 months ago, to other great benefits. Still, in some cases, social media has encouraged less than authentic representation. And I love that's where you started the answer, man. So to our listeners and viewers out there, take it from Cora, be who you are. That's who folks want to do
Yeah.
business with and buy from and collaborate with. That's such a powerful piece of advice there. So, all right. So as a father, Kevin and I both are fathers. And I'll tell you, I think about this all the time. This question I'm about to pose to you, what do we want our kids to take away from these journeys that they're watching us hour by hour, day by day, and how will that impact their lives? So, Cora, you have
Mm.
two lovely daughters. I've seen some of the videos and some of the pictures. Um, and not only are they special individuals, but they seem to inspire the business. And better yet, they're involved in the business. I love that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
what's one or two things that you hope they take away from your leadership and your overall style of doing business?
Well, integrity. Your
Mm.
word is your bond. So for me, it's like, I always tell them, and they say it every day: tell the truth, shame the devil. And for them, it's that's the hardest time. It's the easiest, but also sometimes the hardest thing to do. And it's to have those hard conversations and telling your truth, whether it be to your vendor or to your supplier, in any way that, hey, this is what I'm up against. And having that transparency, that authenticity, those are all the key words that lead up to your truth, and you being, having integrity and telling your truth in that moment, even when it's
Mm.
scary, even when it's hard. And so that, as little kids, is the hardest thing, because sometimes they don't want to lose their iPhone, they don't want to lose this, they
Yeah.
don't want to get in trouble, so they're scared to tell the truth. And I'm like, no, this is a lesson that's going to follow you. Like right now, my youngest daughter just lost her iPhone and iPad
Mm.
privileges because it's like she had to learn to tell. She was in the kitchen making slime, and I was
Oh,
like, what are you in there doing? And I was like, why are you in the sugar? And she said, I just want to taste sugar. But then the floor was slippery. And then I went in the kitchen and there was green gob everywhere. It
ah,
was like what was this? It was like Ghostbusters came in.
Kids will be
There was like
kids.
ectoplasm everywhere. And I said, wait, wait. I said, were you making slime? And she says, maybe.
Baby.
And I was like, tell the truth, shame the devil. Then she's like, yes, I was making slime. I was like, okay. But it was a lesson now all week. And she's like, can I have my phone back? I'm like, no. Can I have my phone back? I'm like, no. And it's like, why don't you have your phone? She says, because I didn't tell the truth. And I was like,
Mm.
well, what's the lesson in this? And she was like, that even when it's scary, even when I'm thinking I'm going to lose something, I have to tell the truth. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
that's one principle of it. The other thing is, when my daughters want something, I have them pitch me. They have to, write kind of like a
Get those
mini business
skills, huh?
plan. Yeah, they're on Canva. If they're on here and doing all these different things, like my daughters love Roblox. So I said,
Hmm.
well, if you love Roblox, why don't you create Aloha shirts on Roblox? And so they did. They helped me to
Wow.
create, and that's me getting into that whole new Gen Alpha, this
Hmm.
whole other generation that uses, digital
Digital
mediums in whole
assets.
other
Yes.
ways.
Yes.
And so it was like, well, how do you bring me into your world? And how do we now speak the same language and have a common bond? Because mommy's doing this. You love this. You want this. How do we come together where we can both have it be a win win? And so now they're like thinking of stores and apps and different things like that. And it takes me to this whole other level because mommy still, like I said, has a Hotmail account and trying to figure things out. It's like, you got to help me figure out how to do all of this, Minority Report type things where I feel like Tom Cruise and I'm trying to,
Yeah, yeah.
figure it all out. But, it's having those conversations. But I pray that my daughters one day take over the brand. And so in doing that, I have them be along with me in every step of the brand. They're with me at the suppliers. They're with me at the trade shows. They're with me in business meetings. They'll be with me on the cruise line and the things with Louis Vuitton.
Hmm.
They know how to present themselves as women and these young women in these situations. They know how to pass out a business card and introduce themselves. They know
That's
how to
great.
present a new product, and they know how to pitch to me. Hey, mom, what if we do this, and this, or what about this, and this, and how to present it to me as a business person so as not to waste my time, which is, as we stated before, the most precious commodity we all have very little of.
Yes, yes.
Well said, Kevin. Your response to Cora's beautiful approach with her daughters and uh,
Yeah. I
training
think
them
it's
up into being successful versions of Cora and taking over the business and going out and doing big things across the globe.
well. I really love the lesson, right? No, you don't have. It's not because you were making slime that you don't have your phone. It's because you lied about making slime.
Right.
You know, I would have jumped in and made slime with you if you would just been
Exactly.
honest with me.
Right. Right.
Okay. And I think that's really the approach you need to take, especially when you're trying to teach ethics and the importance of ethics in business. I mean, you're doing it every day by focusing on sustainability, and you're bringing life lessons and linking them to work lessons. Okay, how to present yourself, how to present your idea. These are critical every in every endeavor, not
Right.
just work, but when you're dealing with others, dealing with groups, dealing with people that may have different viewpoints or different world views than yourself.
Yes.
So, good on you. That's exactly how
Thank you.
you need. And these are and these are lessons that I'm sorry, a lot of parents need to understand.
Yes.
Okay, it's you are setting someone else's life up for either success or failure
Right.
as a parent. You
Well
need to
said.
take that job as your number one job.
Right.
Kevin, well said. And I completely agree with you. A couple quick comments here. First off, tell the truth, shame the devil. Let's just make sure folks get that phrase.
Tell the truth,
Secondly,
shame the devil. You're listing all of these.
you
You
know
made all these notes again, didn't
I sure do. You know me too well, Kevin. Uh, Secondly, Catherine, our producer, also back with Cora was talking about how she asked her daughters a picture on ideas. Catherine's parents made her do the same thing. And so, hey, great minds think alike. And then thirdly, going back to slime, I guess slime is a thing these days because my beloved middle daughter,
you?
Gracie, she can work slime. If we let her do it, she would do it 12 hours a day. I'm convinced. So maybe we get our daughters together, Cora, and they'll build a
We'll have
slime
a slime
business.
and barbecue
Slime and
Yes,
barbecue.
sold. And we'll do it in Hawaii with Kevin. How
in
about that?
Hawaii with the emu.
Yeah,
Yes.
with the
Yes.
email. Yes, yes.
Well, this has
That's
been
our corporate
such.
retreat. That's the corporate
Yes.
retreat.
That's
Hey,
right.
you
Honolulu.
have Ohana here.
Ohana,
Oh,
yes.
let's do it. Well, this has been as wonderful of a conversation. There's so much more to your story. I know we're just scratching the surface for our audience out there across the globe. But
They don't call me the black female Forrest Gump for no reason. Life's like a box of macadamia nut chocolates.
oh, love it. We'll have to broach that subject your next appearance with us. So I got a couple of quick questions before as we kind of come down the home stretch here. I want to make sure, Core, folks know how to connect with you and the enterprise that you're building. Maybe they have you come in. Maybe they want you to speak to their team and inspire or talk business or purchase your products. How about that? How can folks connect with you and learn more?
People can always connect with me at Cora Spearman at Coradorables.com, on LinkedIn at Coradorables or Cora Spearman, and then on all platforms at Coradorables, Instagram, TikTok, Cora Spearman Hawaii. I'm not a big TikToker, but it's
We're
but
But
learning,
your
right?
daughter.
I'm learning. That's my robot malfunctioning.
Well, Cora, such a breath of fresh air. Thank you so much for your time here today. And listeners, hey, special little treat. I think we uncovered in the pre-show. Cora and the team, they're offering a special discount code, Supply Chain Now. It's that simple. What you're listening to, Supply Chain Now. Put that in at the website. It'll all be in the show notes, and as well as the sites to Coradorables and all the businesses will be there. So y'all check that out. But Cora, don't go anywhere. We're gonna wrap. I've got just a question or two for Kevin. Kevin,
Yes,
we
sir.
touched on this earlier, but we touched on how Microsoft and its products is playing a role in Cora and her team's journey. But they're doing some pretty cool things, as you mentioned, out there in retail and for
Oh,
retail
yeah.
supply chains, huh?
Yeah, they just recently, just last month, they had improved the way data in stores could be processed and displayed in accordance to, like customized to a specific store. And this drives or enhances the smart store capability. And it gives those provide insights and personalized recommendations to the customers as they walk in. So when you walk into that Saks Avenue, they'll point you right to the Coradorables shirt that fits you perfectly because they've used the sensors to measure you, my big belly. But they all, but they also have supported, improved support of operations, the ability to get take the pulse of your customer via surveys and ad hoc uh, customer experience interaction. Um, and you can actually organize the tasks that you need to do in order to improve the customer experience uh, based upon uh, what your customers like and their needs and their history. You're leveraging this data to really deliver much more value. And all of that is in the cloud. So
Right.
it's accessible from anywhere. And your customers, you can reach your customers through any device. So I think Microsoft Azure really has the retail need in hand, and they're focused on making it easier for you to connect to your customer.
Well said. And you mentioned value. They continue to add more value to their offerings. Just in the last week or two, Microsoft added new demand planning capabilities to its Dynamics 365 supply chain management platform. So that is pretty cool as well. All right.
Oh yeah, and they've added AI to Dynamics 365 Copilot.
Okay.
So
Well,
now you
Kevin,
can bring artificial intelligence as your partner as you are improving your CRM.
okay. Very cool. All right. Really quick. How can folks connect with you, Kevin L. Jackson, your popular Digital Transformers series?
Oh wow! We just did a session, a show with AT&T's Chief Information Security Officer, and actually there to support a conference on security. We had great response on that, and sort of foreshadowing what's coming up in 2024. I'm going to have a show in December where I'm going to be interviewing an executive from SES Satellites. SES Satellite is they've been providing high bandwidth internet access via satellite systems all over the world, and they just launched a brand new service that provides high bandwidth satellite service to all of the islands across the Pacific. Aha!
That's
And
awesome.
also across the continent of Africa. And they're going to be launching an entire constellation of 5 satellites across 2024. So our first show that's highlighting that that capability is going to be released in December. So we're at Supply Chain Now and Digital Transformers, and you can always reach me at on LinkedIn, Kevin L. Jackson.
That's right. Everywhere, the one and only you can track down Kevin L. Jackson, and you can go through his agent too. But hey, really quick, I love that last story you mentioned, because bridging the digital divide is certainly something that's one of the challenges of our time. So I really
Yes.
appreciate and look forward to that show. All right, Cora Spearman-Chang. What I love your story. Kevin and I both big fans. I tell you, Kevin will be the chair of the Cora Spearman-Chang
Yes,
Virginia
absolutely.
fan club, and I'll be the Atlanta co-chair of your Atlanta fan club. How's that sound, Cora?
Oh, I'm here for all of it. I cannot wait, and I'm very grateful. Next time,
No.
you all need to be wearing the Correspondent Hawaii Aloha
Yeah,
shirts on
All
the.
right. We
we'll
need
mark it
to do
down.
that. Absolutely.
We'll make it happen.
Thank you very much for your. I
Thank you
mean,
for
you
having
are
me.
always inspired me there, Cora. Thank you for accepting our invitation to share you and your story to our audience.
That's right.
No, the feeling is mutual,
Mm.
Kevin, and the honor is all mine. I'm very, very grateful. So thank you so much.
Well, we look forward to putting our finger back on the pulse and checking in with you maybe the first part of next year. We'll see, but keep moving those mountains and
Yes.
inspiring so many people and making so many raving customers with your brilliant designs and successful business. So we've been talking with Cora Spearman-Chang, CEO and founder of Coradorables and Cora Spearman Hawaii, all part of the Coradorables Sustainable Corporation. Cora, thanks for joining us.
Mahalo. Aloha.
Aloha and mahalo.
Aloha.
So big thanks also to our collaborative partners over at Microsoft as well, helping us to bring these wonderful, inspiring stories like this one to our global audience. Kevin, always a pleasure to knock out these
Thank
episodes
you.
with you.
Thank you. This is great. I love these stories.
You know, this is what makes you jump out of bed and do what we do. So big thanks, Kevin. And to our listeners out there, hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we have. Hey, be sure to find Supply Chain Now and Digital Transformers wherever you get your podcasts. And on that note, take something that Cora and Kevin, but especially Cora shared here today, put it into action, because it's all about deeds, not words. And on that note, Scott Luton and the whole Supply Chain Now and Digital Transformers team challenging you to do good, to give forward, and to be the change. And with that, we'll see you next time right back here on Supply Chain Now. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for being a part of our Supply Chain Now community. Check out all of our programming at supplychainnow.com and make sure you subscribe to Supply Chain Now anywhere you listen to podcasts. And follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. See you next time on Supply Chain Now.